In his book Into Thin Air, John Krakauer writes, achieving the summit of a mountain was tangible, immutable, concrete. The incumbent hazards lent the activity a seriousness of purpose that was sorely missing from the rest of my life. And while I will never climb Devil's Thumb or Mount Everest, I can relate to that passage. I don't encourage inexperienced hikers to trudge off into the snowy wild alone or at night. Finding your way through the dense trees with a white blanket covering all earthen signs of trail make it difficult to navigate, and it can be disorienting to say the least. I have formal training and plenty of experience, but I'm also careless at times and forgetful. In this video, which documents my latest adventure with Luna, I will show you how my dog saved me from disaster. And I'll bake some bread. So stick around, and if you like what you see, click some digital buttons. So, we're going to do a little night hike here. Should be fun. Luna's happy. But, of course, it's going to be important that I keep her close to me to make sure she stays safe and to avoid injury or interaction with any nocturnal predators, which, although isn't likely, is still something that's on my mind. Good girl. Good job. Good girl. How's it going, Luna? You having fun in the dark? Go ahead. Oh, you're so good. You're such a good girl. Okay, yeah, you can go. I was just kidding. Oh, yeah, you can go. You can go. Good girl. Go ahead. Go, go, go. Stay on the trail, please. So I've been thinking, man, I'm out of shape. My legs feel so heavy. I'm so tired. Oh, but it turns out I'm just collecting snow boulders on the bottom of my snowshoes. What do you think about that, Luna? You're all lightweight. It's all easy for you, isn't it? But Daddy's got these giant snow boulders on his feet. Oh, you're just bored because I'm standing here looking at my feet. You want to go. This is useless. You silly, you can go. Oh, you silly. You silly. Yeah, you're silly. Good girl. So for those wondering how I'm navigating, I am using an app called Far Out, which is helping me keep track of the trail. Luna is following the footprints that somebody left before, wearing snowshoes, but in the Green Mountains of Vermont, you can't just be following random tracks and hoping that you're staying on trail, because there are a lot of backcountry skiers and hunters who come out here to do other things, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to the same destination. So the Beaver Meadow Trail loop kind of starts here. It does a loop up into the mountains, and then you go back down the way you came to the parking area. You can also go up top Whiteface, or if you want to take the, I don't know how that's pronounced, Chilkoot, to the Long Trail south, I would say, because the Whiteface Trail also connects to the Long Trail as far as I know. I'm going to Beaver Meadow Lodge, which is to the left, and I'm not sure how far it is to go, but it's actually, despite how dark it is, it's actually just after 6 o'clock p.m. So, you know, we're doing okay. plenty of time. I'm planning on going to bed late anyway, hoping to sleep in the morning and just relax and enjoy myself. I was thinking about going up Whiteface, but you know, to be honest, these snowshoes are not really designed for rugged trails, and I don't know if I have it in me. So yeah, I messed up. I crossed the river here. There is a blue blaze back there, but I don't think I go up this. I don't see any blazes. And according to the map, I was supposed to cross the river, but maybe not here. So I'm gonna walk over this way, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna hope that I find the trail at some point. Yeah, so unfortunately Luna walked in the water quite a bit because she didn't feel like going over this, and so now she's a little wet. I'm a little concerned, but we did find the blue blaze, so my gamble paid off. Now it's getting a little crazier. We're making fresh tracks here, and it's not even easy during the daytime hours, and I'm going to consider it hard at night, maybe even extra hard. Well, rest in peace snowshoes. I was having trouble with one of the clips. Typical me, I snapped it right off. So that's done. I guess I'll leave them here, pick them up in the morning. This is going to make this adventure a lot more difficult because, as you can see, the snow is quite deep. But unfortunately, at this point I have to keep going because it's way too far to hike out. This is the story of my life, ladies and gentlemen. I am a walking, talking Murphy's Law. Well, Luna is blazing the trail. Nice thing about border collies, they just don't get tired. It's quite deep. Oh, okay. And I occasionally fall. But Luna's to the rescue, huh? Luna to the rescue. So I realized that Luna is actually following the trail. And I think she's doing this by spelling the people that have walked there in the past. That's the only thing I can figure, because she's staying right on track. And we keep hitting blue blazes. So maybe I should just follow Luna. She's clearly more intelligent than I am and has better equipment. I honestly wasn't sure if we were going to make it after my snowshoes broke. It was very difficult. But it was actually Luna somehow was able to follow the trail. I don't know how she does it. But honestly, if it wasn't for her, I might have gave up out there. I haven't been feeling really good lately, and sometimes it's easy just to give up, but I had to take care of her. She's my baby. Now, it might sound dramatic, but walking through lots of snow with a heavy pack on, not sure where you're going, you kind of feel like all hope is lost. But Luna found the way. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. The first thing I did was make sure Luna was tucked into her sleeping bag with my jacket on her. My jacket, of course, is heated up by my body. She is already on her way into dreamland. So despite being a rugged, tough farm dog border collie with endless energy, she was ready to pass out. So I wasn't the only one. And we'll get this tea going, and I'm gonna get a fire going too. My plan is to make some bread tonight, but first I want to warm up. Well, it's getting there. I was so cold I wasn't really, operating with efficiency. I gave Luna some food. Tucked it right up next to her. Stuck some treats in there, and she got to eating. So I'm gonna try to make some bread, and this here is margarine. Putting in there, I'm gonna melt that up. I already got bread flour and yeast mixture ready to go. While that's melting, I'll go ahead and get a big old chunk of this out. And see, this is the dough. It hasn't really had a lot of time to rise, so I'm not expecting great things. So here's the dough. The thing is I made it real quick and then I put it in a Ziploc bag. So it never really had time to rise at room temperature. Right now it's really cold. So I'm no chef, but what I'm gonna try to do is get this all buttered up. I'm gonna let it rise like that for a little bit, see what happens. Here I just melted some snow, a little extra water going. You can see here I made a little space to put the pan when I'm ready to bake that bread. I think it's just gonna be a solid rock of bread, but hey, a rock of bread is better than no bread. Well, if I try to move her better in her sleeping bag, she sort of grumbles at me, so I'm leaving her alone. My bread has risen a little bit with the heat, so hey, the pan's already hot, so let's clear out a space here. Go ahead and put that in the fire. We'll close that up. So here's what we got. Now, obviously I threw some kielbasa on there, and quite frankly my bread creation is a little bit blackened, but on a positive note, we can look at it as crispy. It's a little bit greasy because of the butter, and by butter I mean margarine, because hey, sometimes I just go cheap. Somehow I lost my regular fork in the process, so now I'm using a spork. See what we got. Huh. I would say that is not bad. I mean, right? It's bread. That's just a doughy, hot bread. That's going to make me feel very good after a very, very difficult adventure. Luna tried to get on my bed, but I had to put her back in hers. Unfortunately, her sleeping bag got a little wet, but I think she's tough. She'll be okay. So, to be quite honest, I don't think that this wood stove heats up this place very much. As you can see, still breathing quite a bit of steam. It's just cold. It's very cold, and I'd tell you how cold it is, but I have no service. But it's cold. My feet are freezing. My hands are cold. Okay, in defense of the fire, when I went outside to get water earlier, I went from cold to very, very cold. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to bed. Tomorrow I'll try to get some new footage, but I gotta tell you, I am not climbing up Whiteface without snowshoes, and never again will I be outfitted with such cheap garbage. Well, it's almost 6 in the morning. I slept really well. I got up early for no good reason. It's just because I often do that, a lot on my mind. The fire mostly burned out, but I was able to get the embers going. Luna stayed in her sleeping bag. We were right next to each other, and she is still refusing to move. She got out a little bit this morning and then was like, nope, got back inside. I am currently trying to get some bread going again. I felt that last night overall was a success, so Trying again this morning with what I have left. We'll hope for the best there. I've been thinking a lot about last night and how I don't really blame myself for being underprepared, except for I did know very well that my snowshoes are 20 years old, I believe. And since early on, I got them as a gift. I knew that they're not great for, serious adventures. They have plastic straps and they're glued together, and anything like that in the cold is fragile, especially when you're an ogre like me. But when they broke and I'm more than 3/4 of the way to the cabin, I knew that that last little bit to the cabin was going to be a nightmare. And just moving 10 feet was absolutely exhausting. I mean, my backpack was extremely heavy and poorly balanced. And that's the second mistake I made. I just don't feel like investing in some giant winter backpack, considering I do this, twice a year. But I guess I will, because getting through the snow, crawling on my hands and knees, and sort of getting confused about where I was or where I'm going, I knew that I needed to follow blue blazes. It's not what I mean. It's just that I got way off trail, and the GPS is good to an extent, but all it was really telling me was where the trail was. It was either to my left or to my right, depending on how far off I was. But I think the miracle of the night was, and I asked Luna to stay on the trail. She did it. There was not a question in my mind. She realized we needed to stay on that trail, and she stayed on the trail, even though I couldn't see it. But I just kept following her. And as crazy as that sounds, I knew she was going the right way. And then, lo and behold, I'd see another blue blaze. I have no good explanation. Only she knows how she did it. But she literally found the lodge in the dark, even though this is our first time here. And when we talk about a border collie's intelligence, it's extremely hard to gauge. For me, it's these improvised moments that are so hard to catch on camera, where she understands the context of a situation and she finds a solution. She's my best friend. So this time I'm rotating it more often, and I'm putting butter on top to try to reduce the burning. The burn didn't actually taste that bad, but I want it to cook fully all the way through and not be too doughy like last night. So I'm trying my best. We'll see how it turns out. So I blackened one side of it, and my kielbasa is a little worse for wear, but I actually like it a little bit crispy in the morning, make it like bacon. The bread seems to have toasted pretty evenly. I did flip it over at one point, toasting the bottom as well. I think it looks pretty good considering the dough really never had time to rise at room temperature. Trying to get the bread to rise or the dough to rise here in this freezing cold was just not happening as I had hoped. But it still makes bread. First I'll try some. Ooh, this is nice and crispy. That is good. As for the bread, let's see how it tastes. Okay, we clearly cooked the interior. Ooh, that's hot. I mean, hot bread's always going to be a little bit doughy. But overall, it seems pretty thoroughly cooked. I think if I was to leave it on the counter to cool, it would be a decent loaf. I mean, I even have some little air pockets in there. Oh yeah, you can see in there's some dough, but overall, Nicely cooked. Oh. Well, now I have coffee bread. So I admit that on my hike out here, I was very careless in the way that I packed my bag. I had 2 different bags hanging off the side. It was really not balanced. I took a lot of time this morning packing everything inside the bag and making sure there's nothing hanging off. Of course, one of the differences, I'm not going to be carrying water, and I ate all the food. So hopefully this will be considerably lighter. Well, before I go, now that the sun has fully risen, give you a quick tour of the lodge that I stayed in. It, of course, has this stove in it, and someone was kind enough to leave quite a bit of wood and kindling, which I am grateful for. Unfortunately, I won't be restocking it because I'm quite concerned about hiking out of here without snowshoes. Were I to have snowshoes, I would definitely take some time and restock. But just trying to walk over to where there's wood, for example, is going to be an exhausting endeavor. There's a loft up here for sleeping. But I slept down here on the bench / bunk with Luna. The pack feels a lot better on my back. Makes me feel pretty foolish for thinking it was a short hike and not really caring too much about how I packed my bag. You know, you'd think at my age I would know better, especially with all my experience. But I often do things the lazy way, and the lazy way often ends up being the hard way. So, won't be able to film much during this odyssey out of here because the snow is pretty deep, and I often sink deep. Last night I was crawling through sections, but we'll see how we do. Believe it or not, it's much easier to find my way during the daylight hours. And it's easier for me to understand how Luna was able to find her way last night. There is a slight indentation where the trail is. So she probably wasn't necessarily smelling people, but following that sort of groove. Right here, the groove is very exaggerated, but it gives you an idea of what we're following. And of course, the blue blazes are a lot easier to see in the daytime, and you can see them from a distance. Problem with night hiking is, you know, at this distance, I can't see the blazes. Luna, of course, doesn't know about blue blazes. She just follows her nose and her instinct. But she does a very good job. Despite this slight groove, it's exhausting trying to walk through here without snowshoes. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Ready to go? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I shamefully must admit that I never found my snowshoes on the hike out. I must have been pretty far off trail when I dumped them. I know approximately where they are in relation to the cabin, and I intend to head back there in the spring to haul out that litter. I would like to thank the Green Mountain Club for maintaining the trails and ensuring people like me can take a break from society and head off into the woods safely. It was a good adventure, and like Krakauer explained in that passage, sometimes incumbent hazards give us a sense of purpose, and that sense of purpose can be uplifting.